Hi, everybody. I'm Mike. This is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are listening to The Right of the People, where we use the first to defend the second every Friday night at 7 p.m. Eastern. So uncover your keyboards and fire up your fingers. Time to join the conversation.
Hey everybody, how you guys doing? I'm Mike. This is Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, and you are listening to The Right of the People. Broadcast here live on YouTube and simulcast over on gun channels. How is everybody doing today? Matt, how you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm outstanding, like a cow in a field.
Woohoo! What? Chewing your cud and taking? Well, let me not go there. Squib, how you doing?
Doing all right. There's three things I do at 7 Eastern on a Friday. One is jump into this show. Two is take my lunch. And three is lock the doors to the building. I forgot to lock the doors to the building. Excuse me for a moment.
All right. Everybody out there in the chat, how are you guys doing? Let's see, over on the YouTube side, we have participants. We got Black Cat Outdoors, Rich White Roosted Films, Tina Fisher, and Tonis. How are you guys doing today? So glad to see you. Thanks for stopping by. On the gun channel side, Guitar Man Pete just popped in. How you doing, sir? Let's see. On gun channels, we have, if I can bring it up, I am ill prepared today. I'm just too excited. Got a couple things going on that just have me all giddy today. You know, number one, my car died. My truck finally bit the dust. Had a lot of work that needed done that could have fixed it, but then it had one catastrophic injury that just kind of laid it to rest. So I had to replace it, and I bought a SUV today. So I'm happy about that. I've been driving.
What kind?
Car. I bought an 08 Ford Escape. It's in pretty good condition. Just had a couple things done to it.
Four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive?
Four-wheel drive.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy one that isn't. So I just got that today. Now I can take the rental car back and stop paying for it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Crud, I lost it. Can you hear me?
Uh-oh. Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry, I just got home, and that means switching over to my headphones instead of my car.
Doesn't look like we have anybody over on gun channel side yet, but that's all right.
Hey, Matt, I do the same thing when I get home from work and jump on the Edges show. That'll be later tonight. There's two of me in the chat for a little bit because I'm still on my phone. I'm trying to fire up the desktop and get my headphones on, headset.
Yeah, it happens often in this show. Because I get off at 3:45 and we start at 4, so.
The other thing that I'm really excited about is I have passed the 1,000 subscriber mark. As of right now, well, let me refresh and I'll tell you, because it keeps changing minute by minute.
As I understand it, it happened just overnight, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. Over the weekend, I went to sleep one day with just around 800. I woke up with 900 something, and then this morning I woke up with over 1,100. I have 1,164 subs right now. One of my videos, the one about Mary Taylor, apparently did something to make somebody happy, and it's either getting promoted by YouTube on people's homepages or it got shared in the right spot, but it's shot up like a rocket. Well, for my channel, I know for some people, having about 20,000 views in 48 hours is pitiful, but for me, that's like awesome. So that was great. So sometime in the next couple weeks, I'm going to have my 1,000 sub giveaway, and I'll do it live on an episode of The Right of the People. Speaking of upcoming episodes of The Right of the People, that may be a little bit curtailed, not every week. It may have to go down to every 2 weeks for a little while because I'm going to have to help cover the afternoon supervisor's slot at work because they are not there anymore. So me and the day supervisor are going to have to split it, which means I'll be at work every other Friday during this time slot. So hopefully that'll be a short period until they can find someone to replace it, and then I can come back and do this with you guys every Friday. But unfortunately, that is on the horizon. All right, now that we have all the small talk out of the way, let's get down to business. First thing I want to talk about is well, actually, the first thing I want to do is welcome anyone on the show in the audience who is one of my new subscribers. Thank you. I love that. If you're deciding to stop in and see what this is all about, please feel free to leave a comment in the chat. If you don't leave a comment, I won't know you're here. Just keep in mind that I try to run things here at PG-13 at most, and my mods are pretty much on that. So thumbs up to them. Black Cat says, open time slot. Yeah, they're here for 2-3 weeks. There will be an open time slot every other Friday. So if you feel that you want to hop in there and take up the slack, feel free, man. Get in front of a camera. It's awesome. All right, here we go. Wells Fargo stems the tide. Not a bank's job to set gun policy. Wells Fargo stemmed the... I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I'm just getting echo from you. Okay, Wells Fargo stemmed the tide of the push for new financial restrictions on gun makers and sellers by stressing that it is not a bank's job to set U.S. gun policy. Wells Fargo believes firearm policy is a debate for Congress instead. According to Reuters, Wells Fargo Chief Financial Officer John Shrewsbury said the best way to make progress on these issues is through the political and legislative process. In the meantime, Wells Fargo is engaging our customers that legally manufacture firearms and other stakeholders on what we can do together to promote better gun safety in our communities. Wells Fargo's refusal to place new regulations or stipulations on legal firearm manufacturers represents a break with Citigroup and Bank of America. On March 23, 2018, Breitbart News reported that Citibank now requires customers who own gun stores to stop selling long guns to anyone under the age of 21 and to quit selling quote-unquote high-capacity magazines as well. They also asked gun stores to refuse to sell any gun until an extended background check comes back conclusive. What the hell do they mean by extended? Even though federal law recognizes that a federal firearms license holder can legally sell a gun if a check lasts 3 days and no incriminating evidence. Well, apparently that's what they mean. They don't want them to sell after 3 days if they haven't had a
if they haven't had if they don't hear back.
Yeah. Last week, Bank of America made clear they will no longer loan money to manufacturers that make, quote, military-style firearms. On March 9, 2018, Breitbart News reported that Visa refused to cut ties with semi-automatic rifle makers. In a statement conveying sentiment similar to Wells Fargo's, Visa said it was not their job to set restrictions on the sale of lawful goods and services. Good. Good for them. Good for Wells Fargo. Good for Visa.
Almost every single firearm I have ever purchased, I have used a Visa credit card to buy. So thank you, Visa.
I won one of mine, but otherwise, yeah, I think it was all Visas.
Absolutely. I used my Visa the other day to make a couple strays follow me home.
You know, speaking of, yeah, I actually, the one that I won was because I was a Patreon on Yankees channel, and I used a Visa to pay for my Patreon, so.
Outstanding. However, there is some pushback against Wells Fargo for this. Another piece by AWR Hawkins on Breitbart, dated the 17th of April. The first one was dated the 15th. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel wants to use city contracts to punish banks that will not restrict and or regulate clients involved in the firearms industry. Emanuel's ordinance is co-sponsored by Alderman Edward Burke. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that Emanuel introduced the ordinance by saying, When it comes to fighting for stronger, smarter gun laws, Chicago, really? Chicago, stronger, they think they need stronger gun law. Well, they definitely need smarter ones, but they don't need stronger ones, quote unquote. Chicago is putting our money where our mouth is. The private sector has a role to play in supporting public safety. Chicago should give our business to companies who share our values and want to be part of the solution to gun violence, not profit from it. Oh my Lord, I'm about to have an aneurysm. It's fun. It's rich to have the mayor of Chicago talking about a solution to gun violence. He wouldn't know a solution to gun violence if it came up and shot him in the little toe.
You know, he's been trying to find a solution. Well, they have been trying to find a solution forever, and clearly it's not working out for him.
Yeah, it's they keep using that word, but I don't think it means what they think it means.
I have a buddy who's like, yeah, that's just because everybody can get their guns from Indiana. It's right next door. I'm like, you don't see those crime levels in Indiana, so it's clearly not the guns.
Exactly. The ordinance would require financial institutions to file affidavits verifying that their customers ban the sale of bump stocks and high-capacity magazines. Moreover, banks would have to assure the city of Chicago that their customers in the firearms industry ban the sale of firearms to customers under the age of 21 and those who fail to pass background checks. The Chicago Tribune reports that Emmanuel's proposed requirements mirror those put forth by Citibank on March 22nd. Citibank's requirements. We will require new retail sector clients or partners to adhere to these best practices. 1, they don't sell firearms to someone who hasn't passed a background check. 2, they restrict the sale of firearms for individuals under 21 years of age. And 3, they don't sell bump stocks or high-capacity magazines. This policy will apply across the firm, including the small businesses, commercial and institutional clients, as well as credit card partners, whether co-brand or private label. It doesn't impact the ability of consumers to use their city cards at merchants of their choice. Oh, well, how big of them? A final vote on Emmanuel's ordinance has been delayed due to pushback from the banking industry. Well, gee, I can't imagine why.
So you're allowed to go spend as much of your money with them as you want, but you know other people can't make a profit off that.
Yeah, retailers and manufacturers can't sell to you if they are partners with them. What a crock of bovine excrement.
Well, you know, everybody wants to look, oh, look, we're doing good stuff. Look how progressive we are and cool, and we're hip and we're with it. And does everybody like us yet because we're making these big changes?
Black Cat says if they make guns illegaler in Chicago, maybe gangbangers will stop shooting each other. Yeah, exactly.
That whole thing about guns coming across the border from Indiana is a load of BS.
Well, I'm not arguing with you. I absolutely agree.
They've just been saying it for years, and it's like the same old sorry excuse that they can't find any proof to back up. And
yeah, there.
Well, and what this is, because this goes even further. This whole theme of it started with all those companies boycotting the NRA. It's continued with everyone, all those companies, the advertisers leaving Laura Ingraham at the behest of young Mr. Hogg. It is continuing with the bank thing. Well, actually, it started back during the Obama administration with Operation Choke Point when they were putting firearms manufacturers and they refusing to handle financial transactions for firearms manufacturers and putting them on the same level as payday loans and porn sites. And that was at pressure of the federal government. Trump stopped that. It was one of the first things he did when he came into office, which, hey, good for him. But anyhow, and it's continuing because now unions are getting involved in this. Another piece by Breitbart, AWR Hawkins, from the 19th of April. American Federation of Teachers cut ties with Wells Fargo Thursday over the bank's refusal to end its relationship with the NRA. AFT began this week by calling on school pension fund managers to divest of holdings in manufacturers who make assault weapons, quote unquote, and they are ending it by suggesting Wells Fargo is either for teachers or against them. In a letter obtained by Breitbart News, AFT makes clear they are chiefly distancing themselves from Wells Fargo because the bank's refusal to cease doing business with the NRA. AFT President Randy Weingarten said, "Gun violence is an epidemic, but Wells Fargo CEO Tim Sloan won't even engage in a conversation about mitigating it, much less take any real steps." Hold on. It's not a bank's job to mitigate anything other than risk to their shareholders, period. That's the only responsibility they have. That's the only responsibility any business has, is to look out for the financial well-being of the business and to protect the investment of their shareholders, period. That's called capitalism, which the left hates to begin with. And second, teachers have no business, particularly a union has no business being involved in guns, no guns, crime, no crime. This isn't anything for any of them to solve. It's not within their wheelhouse. A teacher's union's job is to look out for the salaries and benefits and working conditions of teachers. As a matter of fact, it would seem to me that a teacher's union's job would be to advocate for teachers being permitted to carry weapons in the classroom. But I digress. Let's see. We took him up on his offer to meet with us, then he went radio silent. So if Wells Fargo won't value children and teachers above guns, we won't do business with Wells Fargo. It can be the bank for America's teachers, or it can be the bank for the NRA and gun manufacturers. Well, I'm sorry, there are probably more gun owners than there are teachers, so business-wise, it's probably a smart move. Weingarten suggested other companies have, quote, engaged in meaningful conversations about what responsible relationship with gun companies look like, but Wells Fargo won't. He concluded, we're ending this relationship with Wells Fargo because we have a responsibility to our members and their students who face potential gun violence every day. Gun violence is a public health epidemic, bullshit, and in order to stop it, we'll stop the flow of resources to the companies that manufacture these weapons that have caused so much civilian carnage and death. Now, hidden within the hyperbole here is the real strategy that the left is using, and I'll talk about this in a second. On April 25th, 2018, Breitbart News reported that Wells Fargo stemmed the tide of corporate gun control. They references the piece that I just had read. Now, again, hidden in that pile of garbage rhetoric that that gentleman was spewing out is the truth, is exactly what the left is trying to do, you know, with all of this stuff. We'll stop the flow of resources to the companies that manufacture these weapons because they can't do this. They can't get rid of guns from a legislative level. They can't get rid of guns from a litigation level because the Second Amendment Foundation and other gun rights organizations are stomping all over them in the courts over this. Generally speaking, there are a few jurisdictions where there are some holdover liberal judges who play the activist in black robes role, but by and large, they're losing in the courts. They haven't made a whole lot of headway until very recently in the legislation. So they're trying an end run around our lawmakers. Instead, they're trying to cut off the funds to the arms manufacturers. They're trying to keep gun dealers from doing business, and thereby choke off the supply of weapons and ammunition and anything else firearms related to us, we the people. That's coupled with the social media platforms' left-leaning stance that does everything that they can to restrict speech regarding firearms and other conservative voices. You know, it's all part of the same overarching strategy. You know, on a federal level, except for some disturbing trends lately, gun control has been dead for a long time. You know, there's never been a federal election won on it. But we'll see if that remains true come these 2018 midterms. You guys have any thoughts, Matt, Squib?
No.
Well, never before have I ever wanted a Wells Fargo Visa credit card so badly. So, just saying, two birds, one stone. Here's the thing. Capitalism is the whole supply and demand. If you're a company and you provide financial, whatever you want to call it, to other companies to help them get their business going or maintain their business or expand their business or whatnot, and that business is good, and you decide to make it your policy to stop doing businesses with companies like that, because of capitalism, somebody else is going to go, really? You were making tons of money off these guys. I think we'll step in and take over now. I mean,
yeah, you're right. It's just creating an opening.
Unless we, as the 2A community and law enforcement and the military and foreign agencies, stop wanting to buy the firearms that are manufactured in this country, ammunition, everything else. When those customers go away, that's when these companies need to be worried, not when the bank says, we don't want to do business with you. Oh, really? Well, we'll just go down the street to the other bank who's been knocking at our door for years to get our business. We might have to pay a little bit more money, but whatever. America, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's how it should work. And apparently, that's how it is working. You have the weak-kneed corporate bigwigs who are caving into this social pressure from the leftists, and then you have others like Wells Fargo. Well,
are they caving in?
Business with them.
Are they caving in? Or they're being proactive versus reactive by saying we're gonna take the point on this, and we're gonna go out in the forefront, and we're gonna announce this before anybody puts a demand on us? I mean, did somebody actually go to them with a demand, or did they come out on their own and go, maybe if we make the first move, we'll look like the good guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is true. I don't know. I know that originally there were some demands made by the federal government through the Operation Choke Point thing. But once that stopped, apparently Citigroup wanted, and B of A, they wanted to do that. Maybe that was on their own. It could very well have been on their own, and these others are jumping on the bandwagon.
And our side can do it too. I mean, look what happened with Magpul. They were in Colorado. As far as I know, the Marine that founded Magpul was from Colorado. Colorado come up with its BS magazine law. So what did Magpul do? It moved its manufacturing to Texas and just left a small office in Colorado. And I think HexMag ended up buying their factory and their tooling and whatnot. But they more or less said, well, screw you, we're out of here. I mean, Glock's moving, or not Glock. Taurus is moving from Florida to Georgia. See, who else has done stuff like that? Off the top of my head, those are the first two that come to mind. But there are other gun companies that have said, forget your laws, we're out of here. And does the state care? Not really. Just like the whole thing with Delta and the NRA. I have had access to this NRA discount forever. I have never used it at a hotel, at a rental car, or when I'm booking flights on Delta. And the main reason I get Delta is in Detroit. That's the big carrier here. This is one of their main hubs. So if you don't fly Delta, you're either going to pay a whole lot more, or you're going to get as far as your arrival and departure times, is going to be awful. And to drive 3 more hours, I've done it before. It isn't always the best thing to fly out of Lansing or Grand Rapids or go down to Toledo or something. Anyhow, the whole point is just because they said what they said about, the NRA isn't going to stop me from flying Delta, but I never used the discount. And I don't think I've ever met anybody who I've known who's had an NRA membership that's ever used the discount. So, I mean, it's just like the whole Walmart with the ammunition. You have to be 21 or older to buy ammunition.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop buying groceries and other stuff at Walmart. But what I will do is I'll stop using their sporting goods department. That's my way of, and the local chain around here, Myers, I noticed the gun magazines disappeared from there, like the Kroger's. I know Kroger made a big announcement that they were going to take publications off their shelves as far as selling firearms related magazines. Well, the big chain over here, Myers, They did. I can't find any announcement on it, but I can't. They stopped selling them. So you know what? I went over to the local sporting goods store, the Dunhams, and picked up a couple magazines. You know, there's always a way to find the stuff, but I'm not going to stop buying my groceries at Myers or groceries at Walmart. Maybe I'll give them a little bit less business, or it's just, you know, I mean, whatever it is, we all have to find our own, I guess, way to combat it, justify it. I don't know what you want to call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have to.
I mean, some people
formulate our own response.
Yeah, there you go. Our own response. Some people still shop with cheaper than dirt. All right, I'm going to give you a hard time over it, but I'm not going to not be your friend anymore over it. If you still want to shop with him, go ahead. I'm going to tease you. But yeah, we all have to find our own.
Well, it's funny that you said that our side can use these same tactics as well. You mentioned Delta, and they kind of paid the price for their for their stance on the NRA when Georgia decided to cut off their tax breaks, and it then cost them $50 million in fuel taxes. So they kind of paid the price on that end. And there's another, although small, still a price to pay towards some of these anti-gun companies that are boycotting the NRA, because as in another piece by AWR Hawkins from April 18th, Pennsylvania sheriff bars his office from conducting business with any company boycotting the NRA. Butler County Sheriff Michael Sloop has banned his office from conducting business with any company involved in boycotting the NRA. He enacted the prohibition earlier this month, but news surrounding it just became public this week. Reports Sloop sent everyone in his office an order which said, "Though I cannot dictate which companies you utilize in your personal life, I can and am going to dictate which companies the Butler County Sheriff's Office will not use." He stressed that companies boycotting the NRA are not to be used when making arrangements for any expedition or stayover being scheduled. On February 24th, Breitbart News reported that over a dozen companies cut ties with the NRA in reaction to post-Parkland gun control campaigns. These companies included First National Bank of Omaha, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Symantec, MetLife, Delta Airlines, United, Best Western. Sheriff Sloop reacted to the boycotts by saying these companies made the choice to boycott the NRA for whatever their reasons are, so I am making the choice not to support them. I believe it is important to send a message as a department that we support the members of our community that are members of the NRA that have had nothing to do with any of the shootings, yet they are the face of the blame in the eyes of corporate America. Good for him. If I lived in his county, I would absolutely reelect him. And
I've never found myself worried about, who won the sheriff's election before, but I find myself suddenly paying attention now that I have a concealed carry permit and I don't want to elect a guy who's not going to let me renew it.
Yep. Yeah. Well, the sheriff is the highest elected official in your county. That's important.
I'm just saying, it's amazing how a lot of us never even think about these things until suddenly they start affecting us.
Yeah.
Also, real quick, sorry to take a sidebar, but does anybody know what's up with Glock? I cannot find a Glock 19 within 50 miles.
G-Web's bought all of them?
Yeah. I just saw a 19X at my local gun store, yesterday, day before.
Wait a minute. What do you want a Glock for? Go get yourself a nice 1911.
You know I have a nice 1911. I want a Glock.
So what's wrong with having two?
I drop it in the mud. I don't want to feel bad.
Oh, well, yeah, but I can't help you there. I don't care about feelings. Well, what about another polymer gun?
Well, I ended up buying a Beretta PX4 Storm instead, but it's just weird. Like I went to my my local gun shop. He's like, "Oh yeah, we don't have any Glocks." So I tried my other local gun shop. Then I tried Sportsman's Warehouse and then I just called in a big spiral and nobody's got a Glock 19.
You sure somebody isn't just Glock blocking you?
Glock block. That's awesome.
Seeing you coming and they hit all the inventory in the back.
Rich White points out very rightly that Night of the Living Dead was filmed in Butler County. Yes, yes, it was. There's also some other weird shit that goes on in Butler County, too.
Tina's mentioning that she was supposed to boycott CVS and Caremark because of another issue, but has to get her prescriptions there. There's nowhere else that you can get a prescription? Walgreens, Walmart, pharmacy, Target, any of that?
It might be the health insurance. Some of the health insurance is tied directly to the pharmacies.
It's
one of those, you either pay more if you go outside of that, or nobody accepts the insurance other than because the pharmacy owns the insurance or something. It's not your regular health insurance. It's just your prescription health insurance. They break it up. It's a mess.
Yep. Tina, I'm with you absolutely 100%. She says she has to do mail order. The company I work for, our health insurance, our prescription coverage is through CVS, Caremark, and they want you to mail order everything. And you know how, if you need help paying for your prescription, call AstraZeneca and we can help. Yeah. CVS, Caremark says, no, they can't. So, you know, I could be getting my prescriptions for free, but no, I have to pay through the nose for them because I can't go anywhere else. I have to mail order it. And then even if there is a discount code that I can use, they won't accept it via mail order, and they won't waive it so that I can buy it at my local pharmacy where I've been going for 20 years. Oh my God, don't get me started on this CVS Caremark crap.
And see, I had it a long time ago, and I had a positive experience with it. So I think it might vary by plan or by state law, or the policy I had a long time ago through Caremark might not exist anymore. And that, you know, you're going to find the same thing in the gun community. Somebody will say, like me, I'm always going to, you know, well, not always, maybe one day I'll change my mind. I'll rag on Glocks, but, you know, have somebody else love them. It's the same thing. It's good experience, bad experience thing. I think it's also the same sort of thing with the whole NRA thing. The NRA shouldn't be worried about these companies boycotting them stuff. They should be worried about the members that aren't renewing their memberships because they're mad at the NRA. And then there's other people that are saying, no, I'm going to stick with them. And both people have a different point of view, a different experience with it. And it's just it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
But yeah, the insurance thing will drive you nuts. I mean, we were talking about on Rick's Life as I See It this week, we were talking about firearms insurance. By the way, I screwed up on that. Excuse me. I said I had more value on firearms than Tony York. I went back through and I looked at my policy because I got to renew it in a month and a half, and turns out no, he's got a lot more. His firearms are insured for a lot more money than mine. I got my numbers backwards, but we were talking about our experience with just the homeowners insurance and the firearms, the rider on it and stuff. And we all had different companies and different policies and different experiences, and I think some of that had to do with state by state, and it's just a mess.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, I love my Glock 19, and I hate CVS Caremark like I hate blood in my poo. So, yeah.
Did you really just say it like that?
Why would you? Why? Why is that a thing you think about? Why is that an issue? What? How often does this happen that you have a set response?
Wait, no, don't. No, I don't want to go any deeper into this. I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to go down any hole.
Okay. My bad. I shouldn't have went there. I just thought it was funny. All right.
No, I need to know these things. Don't stop. Shut up. I need to know, why is this a thing that you have a prepared response for?
Tell me, would you be happy if you had blood in your poo? Would you hate that or love that? I personally
what caused it. Because
other news,
what if I had some really good tacos?
The Foundation. If you haven't watched my video on my interview with Alan Gottlieb of the Second Amendment Foundation, you should probably go watch that. It's pretty awesome. He's a great guy. I was very honored to meet him at the USCCA Expo. He took the time to speak to lowly old me, and I had a really hard time not just going all fanboy on him. But anyhow, the Second Amendment Foundation is once again standing up for our rights. Gun rights group, this is by Stephen Gutowski. It is April 18th, 2018. Gun rights group files suit on behalf of Illinois daycare operators. We're in court to make sure that the state cannot discriminate against daycare operators. 3 gun rights organizations filed suit against the Illinois Department of Children and Family Services over its requirement that bans home daycare operators from keeping guns in their home. The Second Amendment Foundation, Illinois State Rifle Association, and Illinois Carry filed suit against the state in support of Jennifer and Darren Miller. The couple has a home daycare license and would like to keep guns in their home for self-defense. The state, however, won't allow them to do so, despite the fact that both of them have Illinois firearms owner identification cards and concealed carry permits. The complaint said that the couple fears losing their home daycare license if they were to keep a gun in their home. The Millers would possess and carry loaded and functional handguns for self-defense and defense of the family, but refrain from doing so because they feared Jennifer's daycare home license being taken away from them by the state, and or being prohibited from maintaining a daycare home license in the future, all due to the Illinois statutes and IDCFS rules complained of herein, the complaint reads. It said that the Millers were willing to comply with the requirement in the state's concealed carry law that those with home daycares could keep guns in their home so long as they're stored in a locked container while the kids they are watching are present, but that they don't want to have to give up their guns to keep their business. However, notwithstanding the Millers' stated willingness to comply with the requirements of the law, the Millers are nonetheless required to abide by the requirement that they remove any and all handguns from their home in order to receive or maintain Jennifer's daycare home license, regardless of Darren's and Jennifer's valid FOID cards and CCLs, the complaint said. Alan Gottlieb, the founder of the Second Amendment Foundation, said Illinois is violating the Millers' constitutional rights by making them choose between owning firearms and operating a home daycare. IDCFS substantially prohibits daycare home licensees and those who would be daycare home licensees from the possession of firearms for the purpose of self-defense, which violates their constitutional rights under the Second Amendment, Gottlieb said in a statement. It was our lawsuit against Chicago's handgun ban that incorporated the Second Amendment to the states via the 14th Amendment. It was another of our lawsuits that forced the state legislature to adopt a concealed carry statute in Illinois. Now we're in court to make sure that the state cannot discriminate against daycare operators who merely wish to exercise the rights we've restored in Illinois. The Millers' lawsuit is the second recent team-up between the Second Amendment Foundation and Illinois State Rifle Association to challenge an Illinois regulation in the past month. On April 5th, the two groups filed suit against the new ban on most semi-automatic rifles in Deerfield, Illinois. And again, they'll do everything they can to prohibit this person, prohibit that person. Anytime that they can create a prohibited class, they are happy. And we have to do exactly what Mr. Gottlieb and the Second Amendment Foundation, along with the Illinois groups, and we have to fight them every step of the way.
I think this has something to do with terminology because you're calling them daycare operators. And what I'm doing is I'm picturing a really muscular dude with a shaved head and goatee and a really tight t-shirt and combat boots when you say operator. So maybe these people in the Illinois government are there thinking that they got operators working in the daycare instead of licensees. But really, though, if you think about it, if you got a home daycare and they legally own firearms, they keep them in the home, they have their concealed carry permit, or they have their FOID card, or whatever it is, they're law-abiding citizens. I would think it should really be up to the parents who are leaving their kids in that home for the day maybe if they had a law that says you have to disclose that you have firearms, you can't hide that. And then if the parent goes, look, all I want to know is, are they locked up? Or if the parent is that gun shy, goes, oh, I can't have my kids in here. But I bet you these home daycares where they have their own personal firearms in those homes, I bet you that they're not soft targets like our public schools are now, are they?
Exactly. It should be up to the customer to decide whether or not they want to give them their business. Period. Night Strike, how you doing, sir? Glad you could join us.
Hey, I'm doing good. Just working on GunTube, as I've always been.
Good. We need it.
So, yeah, you guys have a roaring conversation here. You bring me up to speed.
We're talking about Vin Diesel's movie, The Pacifier, where he is an operator who takes care of babies, I think.
Yes, that's it.
That's what... I think I saw that one already.
That's where it's going, actually. No, it was talking about the fact that the Second Amendment Foundation and the Illinois, let me get the facts straight in front of me. Second Amendment Foundation, Illinois State Rifle Association, and Illinois Carry filed a lawsuit against the state of Illinois and their Department of Job and Family Services over regulations that say that people who have a home daycare license to care for other people's kids in their homes cannot own firearms. They are saying that that is a violation of their Second Amendment rights. And I agree.
That is absolutely a violation. Yeah.
It's a violation of Second Amendment rights. Yes, right. Shout out to
I already know what you're going to say, Night Strike. Go right ahead.
No. Matt already said it for me. I'm good.
Outstanding. Because it needed to be said in this case.
It did. It did.
It absolutely is an infringement on their Second Amendment rights. You know, and as I said, anything that the antis can do to create another class of prohibited person is a wonderful thing in their eyes.
What they don't tell you is they're trying to segregate society from, the haves and the have-nots. And they're trying to make several different tiers. And I'm sorry, but that's not what America was started for.
It's like this. If they're going to talk about any form of any infringement at all, we can't have the, air quotes, conversation. We can have the conversation where they can ask us questions and we can try to explain to them how stuff really works, how it's not about what's in the movies and on the news. And we can explain our position, or we can talk to them about history or laws or things like that. That's the conversation. But anything on their end that wants to discuss an infringement, the conversation is over. So I don't think people seem to understand that if we're going to have any conversation at all and we're going to entertain the idea of any infringement, we've already lost.
Well, the truth of it is that they don't actually want a conversation. A conversation entails both parties discussing a matter in a reasonable, civil way. That's not what they want. By them, having a conversation means they tell us what we're going to do and we do it. That's a conversation to them. And
right, I mean, standard, more or less,
I don't want to have a conversation.
Yeah. Well, more or less, go change the Constitution and then come back and infringe on me. Until then, I'll answer your questions. You want to go to the range, I'll take you to the range. You want me to show you how to safely handle this, I'll show you. You want to go with me to the gun store or to the gun show, and you can watch me fill out a 4473 and see there's no loophole. Whatever. Sure. But until you change this, until you repeal the Second Amendment, I don't want to hear about any infringements. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Well, I've had them tell me straight up, I'm not interested in the facts.
Well, if you're not interested
in a conversation with someone who's not interested in hearing the facts.
If you're not interested in the facts, if you don't want to hear the other side, don't start the conversation.
And I'm not interested in infringement. And I get the whole, if we don't give a little, we won't get a little. The problem is I came on air and talked about that. And people gave me a hard time, and everybody who did was absolutely right. So,
speaking of nonsense infringements, so sorry, God, I always keep derailing because you send me tangents. But I found out today, as I called my local gun store about a thing, that in order for me to transfer a firearm to my children's mother that I got her as a gift, like to transfer it legally into her name, my gun store has to hold on to it for the whole 10-day waiting period in California.
Yep.
That's a state thing. That's not a federal thing.
It's still an infringement.
It's a California thing, and it is an infringement.
It is an infringement, but look at where you're at.
Oh.
Speaking of California.
Yeah, but wait a minute, though. Wait a minute. All you have to do is just invoke the whole what's hers is hers and what's yours is hers, and you're fine.
Yeah.
She already owns it, dude, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, that's true. It's been on her side, in her nightstand since then. It's just she wanted to get it transferred into her name.
It's kind of like how she took your favorite shirt too, right? It happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm married. I know.
I leave my favorite jacket at work now.
My wife's got her eye on my 44 Magnum Henry. Get your own.
Speaking of California, Another piece, but from Breitbart News on April 16th. After banning armed teachers, California considering firearms tax to fund school security. Just months after Governor Jerry Brown signed a bill barring K through 12 teachers from being armed for self-defense, because maybe he's
Can't have that.
Maybe he's importing. Well, no, they can't be armed, so he's not even going to go as far as some Pennsylvania school districts and give them rocks or bats, mini bats even. Assemblyman Jim Cooper is pushing a tax on firearms to pay for school security. His bill, AB 2497, would also tax ammunition to help fund security at schools. The text of the bill proposes that there be a tax for the privilege of selling a firearm at retail. Beginning January 1st, 2019, the monies accrued from that tax would be used to fund school security. In the same way, a tax would be imposed for the privilege of selling ammunition at retail. The privilege. Those monies would also go toward school security. On October 15, 2017, Breitbart News reported that Governor Brown signed legislation guaranteeing teachers would not be able to shoot back if attacked. That legislation, AB 424, was sponsored by Assemblyman Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy defended his push to disarm teachers by saying a safe learning environment is essential for our children to be successful in the classroom. That's not possible if the school district allows armed civilians to roam California school campuses. At the time, Kern High School District, Kingsburg Joint Union High School District, Folsom Cordova Unified School District, Anderson Union High School District, and Palo Cedro's North Cow Creek School District had chosen to allow certain teachers with concealed carry licenses to carry. McCarty did not cite a single incident in which one of these teachers acted inappropriately with their firearm, nor could he point to a time when a student gained access to the teacher's firearm. Now Assemblyman Cooper wants to tax firearm and ammunition purchases to fund security for schools.
If they pass that, they're going to screw it all up. The money will end up in the general fund and whatever.
Yep.
Or they'll hire the cheapest rent-a-cops they can get, and those idiots will end up losing their firearm, leaving them in the restroom, or the student will get a hold of it, or they'll shoot themselves in the foot, or the bad guy will sneak right past them, or I don't know.
This article, the quote by that guy, really contains the disconnect between us and them. And I hate to use that phrase, but that's really what it is, us and them. The privilege to sell firearms, the privilege to sell ammunition. It is not a privilege to possess or to bear or to keep or necessary for the keeping and bearing to sell or to buy firearms and ammunition. It is a right, a natural right possessed by every human being on the face of this earth who has ever existed or will ever exist to defend themselves and to use the best tools available for the purpose. But they view it as a privilege because a privilege is given and a privilege can be taken away.
If they keep calling it a privilege, though, it'll start getting accepted as mainstream as privilege, right? You just keep calling it that.
It's the big lie theory of propaganda. You keep repeating the big lie over and over and over and over and over and over and over until it becomes the truth. Rich White says California will hire John Candy and Eugene Levy to be school armed security. I remember that movie.
Well, actually, you missed one very important part of that.
Please elucidate.
You mentioned where they said that teachers are not allowed to fight back.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound like a great another nation we know of that we've heard of? Across the pond. I believe we broke away from them like a couple hundred years ago. You've heard of them, right? The United Kingdom, where you're not allowed to fight back in case you're attacked. You have to either take it and hope you live or die. And that's what California is telling people in schools, that they can't fight back.
Run away! That's it.
Well, Night Strike, they're already telling that to students. When we were in school, well, maybe not you, you're a lot younger than me, but when we were in school, you got in a fight, both people went to the principal's office. The principal was so intimidating, he said, all right, who started it? The person who started it would always say that they started it because the principal was so intimidating. that person got in trouble, like 3-day suspension or something like that. The other person was told, go back to the classroom with a bloody lip or bloody nose or a black eye or whatever, and went back to the classroom. And that was the end of it. And that usually stopped the fight. There usually wasn't a rematch or anything else later. The kids got it out of their system, whatnot. And,
that's nowadays, how it was when I was in school.
Okay, well, nowadays, if you're attacked in the hallway and you fight back, you both get suspended for 10 days. And there's nothing you can do about it. And it's BS. And that's the same thing when somebody breaks into your house. They're not invited. It's 2 a.m. They're, you don't know them. You were sleeping and they're busting in your house, and, they come at you and you defend your family, and you're the one that goes to jail. Never mind, you got, the guy was there. He's armed. He's got a criminal record, blah, 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 blah. It's obvious this is a home invasion that went bad. You're the one that's got to, retain a lawyer and get bailed out of jail and all these other things. It's the same sort of mentality, and it's a bunch of BS. And there's a lot of common sense to it. Every now and then you're going to have somebody who's going to lie. I suppose you could try to trick somebody into coming over to your house at 2 a.m. so you could shoot them and then go, he invaded my house. But how often is that really going to happen? So some of the common sense stuff, like when we were in school and the principal said, all right, who started it? That's just not common sense anymore.
Nope. Now it's zero tolerance, which actually equates zero thought and effort on the administration's part.
Actually, common sense in the true definition of the word doesn't exist anymore.
No, it's a damn superpower.
No, it's not. It's misconstrued out of definition, actually.
Well, common sense nowadays means whatever the hell they want.
Right.
Common core sense?
Yeah, common core sense. It's
more like common no sense.
Alaskan Ballistics in the chat says the conservatives in California need to try to secede while they have a Congress that may allow it. Actually, there is a movement in California to secede, actually to break the state up into
New California.
Parts. Yep.
Or join Nevada, right? Couldn't they just be annexed by Nevada?
I don't know.
Nevada would like that.
Eastern California get annexed by Nevada.
Maybe you can shed some light on this, Matt. I had heard that there is a possibility of getting that actually as a ballot measure in California to split the state.
Yeah, they're trying to split it. I don't know who they are, but I have heard this from a few different sources that we're trying to split California into North California, South California, and New California. And honestly, if we could get rid of San Francisco, LA, Sacramento, and San Diego, I think that I don't know how we would manage that. We could put them all on like a big.
I think the rest of California is trying to do.
Yeah, except we're splitting it the way they want to split it is there'd be a chunk of Eastern California which wouldn't, which honestly I don't know what's out there. I think it's just some mountains, and there would be the part with Sacramento and San Francisco, and then the part with LA and San Diego. And the problem is there's these strongholds of anti-gun sentiment everywhere, but there's this where most of the people live, but there are these tiny little cities, or huge cities, but tiny little spaces relatively. So unless we could cut these little micro states out of our state and call you California,
would they become city states like ancient Greece? Right, they're so big they're their own.
It might not be a bad idea.
I would like that, and I would like to then burn those spots off of California, but we won't get into that. Yeah.
Hopefully something can come of that'll increase the freedom level in the occupied areas.
Really?
All right.
Occupied.
all that news of wonderfulness today. I like to end this how I usually end this, on a positive note. I've got a couple of them. Suspect allegedly threatens woman with hatchet, gets shot. A Tucson, Arizona woman shot a man who allegedly threatened her with a hatchet as she exited a store on the city's south side. Police arrived to find a man with an obvious gunshot wound, and he was transported to a hospital. Tucson News now reports that the woman exited a store Friday night around 8:30 p.m. and was approached by a man allegedly armed with a hatchet. She got in her car, but he allegedly refused to let her close the door once inside. She told police he allegedly raised the hatchet as if to strike, so she shot him. Oh, no, then she didn't allegedly shoot him?
No, she allegedly shot him. Now, come on, we got to be consistent.
She was able to keep the man on the scene until police arrived. Tucson police indicate the man demanded the woman's keys prior to being shot. He was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. Good for her that she possessed the means and the opportunity to defend herself. And we have yet another case to talk about, and this one falls under the here's why you need a 30-round magazine. Another piece from Breitbart, AWR Hawkins, 19th April 2018. Residents opened fire with AR-15, 9mm handgun, and turned the tide on 7 invasion suspects. 2 residents in Glen St. Mary, Florida, turned the tide on 7 home invasion suspects by opening fire with an AR-15 and a 9mm handgun. One of the alleged suspects, one of the alleged suspects was killed, another hospitalized, and a third was treated and released to police. News4Jax reports that the incident occurred around 4 a.m. Sunday when the suspects kicked in the door claiming to be from the sheriff's office. 3 residents were at home at the time, and 2 responded by opening fire. The resident with the AR-15 estimates he fired 30 rounds by himself. 2 suspects immediately, quote, crumpled to the floor with multiple gunshot wounds, unquote. The residents then retreated to another part of the home and called 911. One suspect, Corey Lorimore, died of gunshot wounds to his head, and an unidentified 16-year-old was hospitalized in unknown condition. Officers found, quote, a heavy amount of dried blood caked on the front steps of the home, a blood-stained mask with a bullet hole through it, and a .380 caliber handgun lying nearby. Authorities believe a total of 7 individuals went to the trailer Sunday morning. The 5 charged with home invasion are 24-year-old William Lorimore, 24-year-old Joseph Albino, 20-year-old Zachary Bell, 19-year-old Christian Watkins, and 15-year-old Caden Lorimore. So it sounds like the Lorimore brothers are pretty much a bunch of criminal scumbags, and, well, one of them will trouble other people no longer.
They need to add to that home invasion charge impersonating a law enforcement officer charge, right?
Yes.
Because they said sheriff's department had kicked in the door right then and there. They need to do something about that.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. Logic Rex, hey, good to see you. Glad that you could join us. Yeah, you're coming in at the end of it. I start this this live stream every Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. What's that?
That early?
Yeah, 7 p.m. Eastern is when I start this.
You know, I wouldn't mind if we did make it a podcast. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Well, I am actually. I have been working on downloading all of these, which I guess is, I'll cover that here in a minute. But yeah, I do this every Friday at 7, so please come back and join us. So to round that out, I just want to make sure that for all the new people who are listening, that you understand that when I do these self-defense shoutouts, which is what I call the segment I just did, where I talk about people who have used firearms in defense of themselves or others, it is not with the purpose of celebrating the death of anyone. It is instead for the purpose of celebrating the continued life and liberty and property of a law-abiding citizen who had the means and the opportunity to defend themselves from those who would deprive them of their life, liberty, or property. So that's my intent. If the bad guy dies, well, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. So to go ahead and round this out, Matt, do you have anything you want to say? Any plugs you want to leave? Anything you want to give a shout out to?
Check out my channel as ever. Since you have this huge 1,000+ audience now, seems like that might help. Check out my channel, 50 Caliber Karma. As ever, if you have any questions about my channel or my content, email me at 50caliberkarma@gmail.com. Also, I just want to say, since you asked if there's anything else I want to plug, I don't think that marijuana should be an illegal substance.
All right. Night Strike.
Hit or miss, Tuesday nights, 9 o'clock. Friday night strike as soon as I am out of here. And hey, check out GunTube, guntube.org.
I have a channel on GunTube, so yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I saw you uploaded a few videos. Cool. Upload a few more if you want.
I don't want to stress it. I don't want to go all.
No. We're good. Upload like 2 or 3 more if you want.
I need to start my channel over there. I haven't yet.
No, I think you did register. I did.
I register, but I haven't done anything.
I was able to restore your account in one of your videos, so I think we got the one where you're talking about that one gun. What was it? It was that old gun that you had. I think it was like the Star.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think that's the one we've got over there.
Cool. So. Squib, anything you'd like to add, sir? Anything you want to plug?
Edge of the Week tonight around 11 Eastern. Edge does a podcast most Friday nights late. Tomorrow morning, Caliber Corner, Travis P11 show, 9 Eastern. I think we're going to talk about an upper receiver for a carbine rifle build for Travis. Monday nights, around 10 or 11 Eastern, depending on when we get going. Lock and Load with Hawaii Volcano Squad and Rupan and Patrick. And I guess everybody just check out gun channels and jump on in and get to meet a bunch of other people that are into firearms. And if you're new to firearms, it's a great way to learn. There's lots of people that will answer any question you've got.
All right. Now I'm going to leave you with, again, I'm going to plug my The Right of the People here on Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, where we use the first to defend the second. Again, for those that may have missed it when I talked about it at the first, over the next couple weeks, I may not be able to do it every Friday. It may just be every other Friday because my work schedule is going to change. I'm going to have to cover half of the afternoon shift, which will be right at this time. So I'll be at work starting at 6, and so I won't be able to do this. However, I should have every other Friday off, so we'll see if that holds true. And I will at least be able to do it every other Friday until they find another afternoon supervisor and I no longer have to cover that shift. Again, I would like to announce that I have passed the 1,000 sub mark. So during one of those Right of the Peoples on that Friday, I will be doing my 1,000 sub giveaway. 5 subs who have followed the instructions on the 1,000 sub giveaway video will be drawn and will receive their Mora knife companions with my in a sheath that I will make for it. And maybe I'll give away some other stuff too to lucky people during out in the chat. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome.
As always, make sure that you are doing everything you can to be vigilant for the Second Amendment. Make sure that you know your Congress critters' numbers, your senators' numbers, your local and state representatives' numbers. Make sure that you call, write, send smoke signals, carrier pigeons, telegraphs, whatever you have to do. Let them know that what your opinion is and let your voice be heard. Never, ever, ever give up the fight. Until next time, I'll see you then.